Hey everybody, this is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network, joined by my man, my great friend, the great Matt Hladek from thespun.com, not only a colleague, but he's been a friend for years. And man, you should go to The Spun. It is basically all of the trending news in all of sports, NFL, college. I mean, if there's something interesting in tennis, and God only knows that doesn't happen very often, they've got it on there, golf, whatever. I just love it because it's kind of, this is meant to be a compliment. It's kind of a TMZ of sports. It just brings in a bunch of pieces. And I just love to call him my buddy. My kids call him their uncle. We love Matt Hladek right here. Hi, Matt. Good to have you back, bud.
Always a pleasure. Good to have you back from your little respite there.
Oh, that was fun. All right, Matt, I want to dig in on some important issues. And what we're going to do between now and training camp, we're going to begin to go through each position group. So this week, we're going to take a look at the Las Vegas Raiders quarterbacks. Next week, we're going to look at running backs. The next week, we'll look at wide receivers. Then we'll look at offensive line and switch to the defense. And we're going to do two groups today. So we're going to start with quarterbacks and specialists. And let's get right into it. Jimmy Garoppolio, I think, is a very good quarterback. I think he's a proven winner. He's great in this system. There is nothing to like about him as a teammate, as a winner, as a competitor in the locker room. Terrific. But he can't stay healthy. And I have said all along, I would not have signed him. And not be if the guy didn't have a track record of being injured, first of all, the Raiders wouldn't have got him at the price they got him, and they still paid. But to me, his injury record is what it is. Great person, great player, great teammate, great competitor, winner. But in the NFL, the best ability is availability. He struggled with it. Have no concerns that he's going to be ready. He's going to be the Raiders quarterback this year. None of those issues are legitimate that people are complaining about. His biggest knock is health. Are we being fair or not?
I think it's totally fair. That's the reputation that he's accrued over time in the NFL. That's what's followed him from New England to San Francisco and now to Vegas. I do think from what you've been reporting and what else is out there that he is expected pass the physical, be healthy, be good for training camp. So it's not a situation like that. But it does make you wonder if you're having these health concerns with him before he's even gone through a camp session with the Raiders, let alone played in the game. Are you going to continue to have them throughout the season because it's an with that he's dealt with throughout his career? When he's on the field, you know what you're going to get from him. Especially Josh McDaniels, having worked with him before with the Patriots, and he knows the system, and that's the reason why he was brought in. He was brought in because the Raiders, even though they are retooling their roster and they had to make a change at quarterback because it was time for Derek Carr to move on, they didn't want to just completely blow it up, and they weren't going to turn over the reins to a rookie right away. So they went with Garoppolo, who, from a skill set standpoint and what he could do on the field, that decision makes sense. But like you said, the issue is with his health, how many games he's actually going to play. And that's where it really remains to be seen if they're going to regret the move or it'll turn out to be, something that looks good.
100% agree with you. Now, I'm going to go into one more thing on Jimmy, then I want to move on. But I have said if he plays 17 games, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler look like heroes because he's great at what he does. He's a winner. But if he doesn't, they deserve all of the blame for a franchise in year two. Now, we all know the reason they ended up with Jimmy Garoppolo is they were all in on Tom Brady. There is no debate over that. And I'm telling fans, I know now there's some people, well, they never thought. Yes, they did. They were all in. Tom Brady was their guy. And I'm going to get into more of that, and actually did get into that in a previous podcast. But the point is, to move all in on him, this is all of the praise goes to those two, or all of the blame. There is no middle ground here. Would you agree with that?
100%, because he's either going to play, 17 games or even 16 games, a pretty much full complement. And he's going to do what they expect him to do. And they're going to be a competitive team. And the vision that they had for him when they signed him will come to fruition, or he's going to miss significant amounts of time. And you're looking at either Brian Hoyer, a veteran who is capable as a backup and capable of filling in, but you're not trusting the future of your franchise to, because he's been, he's towards the end of his career. And
Mhm.
you have Aidan O'Connell, who is a mid-round rookie who is, has some potential, but you're not sure about what he is just yet. So that's why you need Jimmy Garoppolo to be healthy and to play as much as possible this year.
So let's go to Brian Hoyer. I think he's the
Mhm.
perfect backup quarterback for the Raiders in this situation. Listen, if he is absolutely able to step in and start, he knows the system. When he has had weapons, he has been a very effective starter, very effective. When he didn't have weapons, he's been terrible as a starter. And guess what? How many quarterbacks in this league are great starters without weapons? Let's just be honest.
Mhm.
And so and again, I think Brian, let's not fool ourselves. Nobody's saying he's the long-term viable option for the Raiders. But in their situation where you want a guy who's able to play now if he needs to, but also bridge the gap and bring a rookie along, that's clearly Brian Hoyer. I think he's the perfect backup quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders.
I would agree. And again, talking about a guy who has familiarity with the system, familiarity with Josh McDaniels from their time together in New England, Brian Hoyer's bounced around the league. He's capable of stepping in at a moment's notice and giving you competent enough play, and being somebody that you can rely on to hold down the fort. So I think in that sense, he definitely fits the mold of the type of backup quarterback that you're looking for in the modern NFL. I think he will help also with some of the development of Aidan O'Connell as a younger prospect, because he has an immense amount of institutional knowledge from having played in the NFL for a while and been around Tom Brady and been around some of these other guys. So he knows, how to play the position. So he'll help from that aspect as well. But I think also on the field, what you're getting from him if he has to play, and he can help you out.
And again, like Jimmy, consummate professional.
Mm-hmm.
He's another coach in the locker room, a guy that does it right. Again, Brian's a perfect backup quarterback for the Raiders where they are right now. All right. Then I want to go to Aidan O'Connell. And I always laugh because, man, fans, and again, on this podcast, we don't mock fans, we don't laugh at fans, but fans were sending me stuff acting like Aidan O'Connell looked like Tom Brady. And I'm sorry, I was at practice. I thought he looked really good. I also felt like he held the ball for too long, and that's with no pressure. I mean, there's nobody getting hit in mini camps. And then I found out it was just kind of media were pumping Aidan O'Connell like the next Tom Brady. And listen, I think he looked really good, but there's a lot of people that look like Tarzan and then play like Hawkeye from MASH when the pads come on. Let's just be honest. And so I think he's a great quarterback in college. If he would have come out after 21, he would have been a first-round draft pick. I think the Raiders stole him. I wrote that after the draft. I think he has potential to be a long-term starter in the NFL. All of that's there. But man, after a couple of mini OTAs and some mini camps, let's tap the brakes a little bit. I think he's got the potential to be great, but I don't think he's great right now. I think nobody can say that. I think it's not fair to O'Connell, and it's not fair to fans to be pumping somebody up like the second coming when he's never done anything with a Max Crosby can put a helmet in his kidney. Your thoughts?
I think it's, when it comes to football fans in general, the backup quarterback is always the most popular player on the team, and the shiny new quarterback, the rookie first year guy, whether it's someone who was drafted number one overall, someone who was drafted in the middle or late rounds, they're always, the guys that fans are concerned about. And if they see some good things, they're hyped up. Listen, Aidan O'Connell, he could end up being a long-term starter for the Raiders. We had talked about for weeks leading up to the draft that they were going to take a third or fourth round quarterback, and they were going to look to build at that position. He was the guy they took. They decided on. He has, a lot of experience playing at the collegiate level, and he certainly has the tools to be successful. It's just a matter of how much he develops, and they're not going to put too much on his plate just yet, because they don't want him starting or playing a lot as a rookie. With Garoppolio and Hyer, they're hoping that Jimmy Garoppolo can go through the whole season unscathed. And if he doesn't, then they're going to turn to Brian Hyer at first to hold down the fort. I think, like, as I've said before, the only way I think you see Aidan O'Connell starting games in year one is if things really go haywire. Garoppolo's done for the year. The season's kind of off the rails a little bit, and they're really playing for the future. And at that point, it doesn't make that much sense to play a vet like Hyer. You're going to play the rookie. But I think you got to let this kid grow at his own pace. You'll see what he looks like in camp. You'll see what he looks like in preseason action, and then you'll take it from there.
Totally agree. All right, now we kind of move directions. We're talking about different groups today. We're talking about quarterbacks and specialists. Daniel Carlson, I think he's the best kicker in the NFL. I think you can make an argument for some other guys. Clearly, I think he's a top three. For example, I think Josh Jacobs is a number two running back in the NFL. I think Max Crosby, Devontae Adams are number one at their positions. Daniel Carlson, I think a lot like Josh Jacobs. There's three guys you can kind of put in there. Daniel Carlson, Mr. Reliable. What a great kicker for the Las Vegas Raiders. I really like Daniel Carlson.
Sure, and when you can have a kicker that you trust in big spots and you trust from experience, it's a huge weapon, and it's a huge kind of comfort for your team and for your coaching staff to be able to trust a guy in those situations. This is, I think, going to his fifth year in the league, Daniel Carlson. He's kicked in the playoffs. He's kicked in big regular season games. So you know what you're getting out of him, and you can count on him in those moments and under pressure. So again, I expect him to come out and have the regular, same reliable, solid year that he's had so far in the NFL.
Then we go to punter, where I think it's the same exact situation with Daniel Carlson. I think there are two or three guys that you can make an argument for. Man, AJ Cole, best in the business, Mr. Reliable. I think nobody has a better 1-2 combination than the Raiders as far as kicker and punter. AJ Cole, what a great punter.
Yeah, and again, you look at a punter. It's something that it's not just it's not just the reliability of being able to be out there that makes a difference at punter. Yes, placement, of course, directional kicking. Also, if you're guys that are on the coverage teams, how that guy's going to kick, how his punts spin, where he likes to kick the ball. You're able to know how to cover his punts, and you're able to build your strategy around that. So I think that's another area where it helps to have the experience that AJ Cole brings to the position. I think he's going through his fifth year as well. So him and Carlson have been in the league the same amount of time. And, it's a nice luxury when you can not have to worry about your two most important specialists and kind of put that in the back burner and know what you have at those spots.
Now I want to go to a new guy, Jacob Bobenmoyer. The Raiders get rid of Trent Sieg. There was some penalties there that they didn't like. They just felt like they could upgrade the position. Now, they made a lot of players on the roster mad because Trent is really a popular guy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If the next guy comes in and performs better, everyone's going to shut up because everybody wants to win. But they took a big risk ignoring the locker room. And it was a big risk by the new special teams coordinator, because I've talked to a bunch of players. And Jacob Bobenmoyer comes in, they pay him well, they believe in him. And guess what? If he performs better than Trent, it's going to calm everybody down. If he doesn't, then this new special teams coordinator really alienated a lot of people when he didn't need to. But I don't think it's fair to, every time you talk about Bobenmoyer, to make it about Trent Sieg. The point of the matter is that he's here now. This is the guy. He deserves it. And let me just say, everybody likes him. I've talked to several guys. What do you think of Bobenmoyer? Yeah, he's a really good guy. And they're honest about it. We all love Trent. So we didn't want Trent to go. It was disappointing Trent left. Like one of the stars on the team said to me, when they let Trent Sieg go, why do you let go of one of the three Musketeers if they're that good? But it's, to Jacob's credit, he's come in, he's kept his mouth shut, he's earned the respect of his locker room. And as long as he performs and everybody thinks he's going to be really good, it's okay. Your thoughts on Bobenmoyer?
well, no disrespect to him, but in terms of being a long snapper in general, you hope you're not talking about them much when it goes into training camp and into the season, because if you are, it's because there's either an injury or there's a problem and they're not performing well and they're costing you potential points with bad snaps on kicks and or on punts and things like that. So listen, he has a history with the new special teams coordinator from Denver. He's brought in, if he does his job and he kind of goes about his business, which it seems like what you're saying he has been, even though Trent Sieg was beloved, I think that he'll have no problem taking over that spot in the regular season. And again, if we're still talking about him come August, September, October, then there's an issue and it goes beyond just his personality. It's probably more about his play.
Dan Molbach of the Lions was just a guy I loved, good buddy, who did it forever. And he used to say, no, don't interview me. Don't talk to me. For media, obviously it's okay as friends. One night we were joking about it. And he said, don't do it because we don't want to be seen. Tabor Pepper, who's the long snapper for the 49ers, is a dear friend of mine. I love Tabor, so I love his entire family. Such a great kid. And I say he's a kid, he's a man now, but hey, no. We don't want to be talked about. That is the one thing when you're talking about your long snapper, it's usually not good, is it?
Not at all. Not at all.
So next week, Matt, we're going to talk about the wide receivers, tight end group, and we're going to look at running backs and offensive line. We're going to finish the offense, and then we'll switch over and go over to defense. And as we get closer to training camp. But again, it's always great to talk to you here on Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Good discussion today. Thanks, Matt.
Anytime. Always a pleasure to talk some ball with you.
And make sure everybody set the spun, SPUN.com on your favorites list. Trust me, you won't regret it. You'll love it. Thanks a lot again, Matt.
Anytime.